Okay. Hello, everyone. Today I will be talking about um, how conservatives are wrong about drug policy. I will look at a Instagram video and debunk some of the statements made by an MP, Michelle Ferrari, a Canadian MP, member of Parliament. I don't know if I am on YouTube. But I will write on YouTube. I am on Twitch. If YouTube works, I'll check it out. Anyways, hopefully it gets sorted out. But so that's the plan. I'll look at some articles, news articles, some reports from people that have practiced safe supply. Of course, I'll watch the Instagram video, etc. So I'll change. So I'll start with the video on Instagram.
For here, member of Parliament for Peterborough Kawartha. Listen, when I ran for politics almost 3 years ago in September in 2021, the issue I said that is plaguing this country is mental health and addictions, and it certainly hasn't become less of an issue.
So I'm going to pause the video there because this is an area that I agree. There's evidence that addiction is an issue. So far, we all agree. And then there's evidence that points to that. So we'll go back.
Since being elected, it's become more of an issue. It clogs our emergency rooms, it clogs our hospitals, it ties up our first responders. It's tying up It's ripping apart families. It's ripping.
Okay, so this. So it is true that with the poisoning crisis has tied up emergency room visits, but Safer Supply has reduced emergency times. Let me see. Okay, let's see those. um, in the report, Peterborough 360 NPLC Safer Supply Program, the participant experience. And this is in Peterborough, New York. There was reduced emergency department use. And then at intake, 73% of participants had visited the emergency department in the previous 4 months. At 12 months, this had reduced to 31%. And then so between January and December 2023, Peterborough Public Health reported 78 opioid-related deaths, 377 emergency service calls for opioid poisoning, and 424 emergency department visits for drug poisoning in this area. And 89% of emergency department visits took place at the regional health center. So if there was a reduction in emergency room visits, and there was also a reduction in deaths as well. Let's see. Back. So there's a clear trend line with this graph. Sorry. Why is it not? Yeah, there's a clear trend line with this graph. 73% before starting, and then 31 at 12 months. Let's see. I'm just doing a subtraction, so 73 subtract 31. So that's a 42% decline in emergency room visits. So this idea that Safer Supply clogs up emergency room visits, there was no evidence to support that. Although she hasn't made that claim yet.
Apart communities. It's destroying businesses in the downtown core. They're just leaving.
Okay, yeah, so this video is about criticizing Safer Supply. And there's a claim that businesses are leaving. Safer Supply and consumption sites. So this is an article from 2022. There was a noticeable drop in discarded needles found in Peterborough following opening of safe consumption site. And then harm reduction tactics also appear to be working. There's a quote, a needle. This is Peterborough this week. A needle used in Peterborough's consumption and treatment services site is a needle staying away from the streets, says Donna Rogers. There's been a decline in the reports of needles being found around town. There's dozen overdosed, so they've saved lives. There's a decline in 911 calls to the Peterborough Public Library. And anecdotally, many businesses have noticed a reduction. There isn't inhalation services, so that is an issue. A lot more people starting to use inhalation. But safe consumption sites do play a role in the reduction of needles, and businesses are not leaving. There's a new business or relocated business downtown. Let's see, transition. A relocated business downtown. And there's also a relocated business downtown, Dreams of Beans, and I've also worked downtown during the pandemic. There was some needles, but not that many, and they've been cleaned up. There's a lot of safe disposal options, and there has been a decline. I used to work at the transit terminal, and I have been downtown. Transition. One more thing is a lot of the businesses that have closed, the pandemic might have been a factor in some of the closures, or other factors other than drug use. Let's see. Oh, I'm still. So I'll go back to where I was. So go back to the video.
People don't feel safe. You don't have small businesses. You don't have.
But that's another issue. People not feeling safe. People of all walks of life consume drugs. And this idea that drug users are not safe just because they use drugs, it's problematic language. And yeah, so I'll leave it leave it up there.
You don't have a community. And there's this massive debate about how to treat mental health and addictions and substance abuse disorder. And the NDP and Liberals have went down a road and doubled down on it so hard that it's become like a cult-like vision, right? It's similar to climate change. When you start to have a conversation with them, they double down and you're a murderer and you're all of these things. The evidence is coming out. Like, you have to.
Okay. So, yeah, there is evidence. There's evidence that supports safe supply. Let's see. So there's a report called "This is Evidence from Research in the City of Peterborough, no Geelong." The report is called Peterborough 360 NPLC Safer Supply Program, the Participant Experience. And then there's an executive summary. It's nurse practitioner led. There's wraparound services, including primary care, nursing care, social support, case management, and social programming. These are all things that Michelle Ferrari later points out in her video. There's 79% fewer overdose. 43% of people reduce fentanyl use, and 43% were fentanyl abstinent. 86% of people use less fentanyl. There's a reduction in criminal activity. Businesses like less criminal activity. 71% reduced a decrease in criminalized activities. I should be specific that it's criminalized, such as survival sex work, selling drugs, and theft after 12 months in the program. There's reduced injection drug use by 50%, reduced use of stimulants, improved access to mental health and social supports, 79%, 93% of participants were screened for health issues, 66% received preventative vaccines, and 75% indicated that their physical health had improved. Those 79% access to improved determinants of health. Those increased in incomes, disability benefits, 94% were more stable, 100% of people use drugs more safely, and 56% indicated that they had greater access to harm reduction supplies since starting the program. This is key. 73% of participants had visited the department in the previous 4 months. 12 months, this had reduced to 31%. So those are the headlines. People were able to think positively about the future. Let's see. Those articles about Safer Supply. Let's see. There's an article in the Peterborough Examiner, How I Changed My Perspective on the Drug Poisoning Crisis, by Dr. Thomas Piggott, Medical Officer of Health. There's a story in 2018 guidance on hepatitis C. Screening had just been adjusted, and it was recommended that anyone born between 1945 and 75 be tested for hepatitis C due to potential risk from intravenous drug use that has always been prevalent but often forgotten. And then there was no drug poisoning crisis in the 60s. And it talks about how today, the article talks about today, there's a lot more poisonings than there was in the 1960s, a lot more tainted drugs. And people being cut off from their physicians, cost of living, etc. And the article talks about the patient that was screened ended up being positive for hepatitis C. Had no idea that he was at risk. The article ends, if my patient had been born in the 2000s and engaged in the same behavior, he would have likely been poisoned and may not have survived. Today, the fun things can be life-threatening. Fun in quotation marks. Luckily, there are strategies we know that can help keep people alive. This is like a medical officer of health. Knows what he's talking about. So there's an article, Opioid Crisis Won't Abate Without Further Treatment Options, Supportive Housing, MP Michelle Ferrari. So this is this article talks about Michelle Ferrari's opinions. Did I highlight? Oh, and Ferrari didn't provide data to back up claims that safer supply doesn't help anyone. Social determinants of health are a big thing. Let's see. I'll go back to the video.
Evolve with the evidence, but even more than evidence that I find is often overlooked all the time by academics is reality.
So, yeah, I just looked at the evidence and talked about the reality. So I would argue that it's Michelle Ferrari that's not looking at the evidence. Or conservatives. There's plenty of evidence that supports that safer supply saves lives, reduces wait times. These programs and consumption sites, these programs should be expanded.
I have this saying, and I say it in the House of Commons all the time. I'm like, go outside.
Where do you think? I have been outside. I've walked downtown. in Peterborough. Not for many years, but I have noticed an improvement and reduced drug level. Um, I, I've been outside at night. I also recognize that I do have some privileges that not everyone has, so I can't comment on everyone's perspective. Um, but I have gone outside. I do know I do know what's going on.
Talk to people. Walk downtown. Go to a community event and talk to people and hear from them. People of all socioeconomic classes are not immune to this addiction crisis.
But people should be supported. Um, these programs help improve people's lives. Um, I'll look up positive in here. Positive. Yeah, people have people going back to work. People have they spend less time searching for drugs, so they have more stability to do things, to make improvements in their lives. They're not judged when they go to a clinic. Um, there's a sense of return to humanity. Um, yeah, one participant, this is a quote, one participant reported that the SSP saved them 12 hours a day looking for street drugs. 12 hours a day saved time. So people can improve their lives, do things that empower them. And people on Safer Supply, all a lot of them are wanting to transition off Safer Supply. Or if they're continuing on Safer Supply, they're still alive. Or they're more likely to be alive because they're not using poison drugs. A lot of them are seeing family more often. Um, yeah, so there's a quote: "Participants are starting to reconnect with family members and children." Um, and there's a quote from one participant: "If I can get off drugs, it's heading that way. I'm probably using like 10% of what I was when I started." So, if the goal is to end um, drug use, which isn't even the goal of Safer Supply, the goal is to keep people alive. Safer Supply is working.
And it is impacting so many people. It's not just the person who's addicted, it is the families, the friends who no longer have the person in their life that they love. Because addiction is.
Yeah. So, why is Safer Supply being targeted here? Um, it saves lives. Consumption sites, it saves people's lives. There's
a
evidence.
thief. It steals that person, and they become anything and anyone they have to get their next fix. Why am I telling you all of this? Because there is nowhere for them to go.
There's a consumption site. It's not called safe consumption site. It's called the it'll come. I'll find it. It's called CC. Oh. But they're all places to go, including Safeway Supply, and then what's often referred to as a safe consumption site, but it's not actually called a safe consumption site. But it's the one at the next to the bus terminal. And there was a proposal to build treatment center in Peterborough. So they're all places for people to go. Maybe not enough. There's not enough places. But the idea that there's no places for people to go.
In my lifetime, we used to have, and they were called institutions, mental health institutions. And those were awful places where they did shock therapy and, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I agree. Those are all awful places.
It was one of those critical movies that really shone a light on the maltreatment of the mentally ill. So we know not to do that. But for the love of God, we need somewhere for people to go, for families to go, so they have help and resources on how to deal with this. There is nowhere for people to go. We need bricks and mortar treatment.
There was a approved proposal for a treatment center in Peterborough, North Long. I don't think it's been built yet, but it's been approved.
And recovery centers across this country. And I've been fortunate enough to travel across this country and see where there are these physical spaces of healing.
Yeah, and Safeway Supply does not take away or consumption site, monitored consumption sites. They don't take away from those treatment centers. These are they're all additive or complementary.
But the Liberal NDP government does not.
Okay, so this is one of the things that Michelle Ferrari likes to say. There is no Liberal NDP government. It's a confidence and supply agreement. There's no coalition. So that thing, that's wrong right there.
Believe in that. And the reason I'm telling you this is there is a local woman in my riding of Peterborough who has dedicated her life to understanding why somebody uses drugs. That is the ultimate healing, because it is a journey. You have to understand why you're using. You have to understand your value. You have to understand all of these things. Until you treat that, you're in Groundhog Day. And she has done so much work And so she applied to the federal government for their.
Okay, so this individual might have applied to this individual applied to the provincial government um, as well. I don't know the details of this particular case, um, and so
drug. It's called SUAP. So it's the Substance Use and Addictions Program under the Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, that they say they're committed to dealing with substance abuse. But they're not.
Well, I would disagree with that. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that Safer Supply means that they're not committed, or other programs that they've implemented. They can do more. I agree. They can do more, but
they're not. They have an ideology to keep people where they're.
And conservatives have an ideology. So that ideology argument, it isn't going to fly.
They're at. And here's the hard conversation about substance abuse. And a family member or a friend who has somebody who is in the grips of addiction, if you go to them and say, this will save your child, they will sign anything. They will give you anything. They will mortgage their.
But we're talking about things that have been studied, that have been proven to work. Those and deaths from unregulated supply have been increasing since even before implementation of Safer Supply or any of the consumption sites, safe consumption sites. I recommend that you follow Penny Dafalos on social media. Those good articles. I just clicked on that. Let's see. Where was I going? Oh yeah, those evidence. There was an article in the Peterborough Examiner by Dr. Piggott, the medical officer of health. And this article is called "Dispensing a Safer Supply of Opioids is Saving Lives in Peterborough." Did I highlight anything? I don't think I highlighted anything, but it's worth a read. I didn't get to that argument yet. So there are lives being saved. There is evidence to back up these claims. It's not just Peterborough that's being studied. There's Toronto as well.
They will do whatever it takes to save their child, their friend, their wife, their husband, their aunt, their uncle, their brother. They will do it. And the Liberal NDP government had.
Again, with this misinformation about the government. The government is Liberals. There's no Liberal NDP government.
Is become predatory in taking advantage of that. And what they've done is they've created an ideology and a belief system to hold these people and keep them where they're at.
But if you're going to say that the other parties have an ideology, then you have to say the same thing for your political party.
Instead of meeting them where they're at and then helping them realize that they are very capable of a better life and giving them the tools to have a better life. So this woman who runs an incredible organization in Peterborough, who is doing this, who has the success stories of recovery and treatment, was denied funding by the Liberal NDP government because they don't want people to get better.
I think that's an unfair statement.
They like to keep people sick, and that is a very hard thing to hear. And people don't want to be controversial, and they want to be polite, and they don't want to upset people, and they don't want to rock the boat, because most people are, well, they might have good intentions.
But the data from Peterborough supports the opposite claim that you're making. Data specifically from the riding of Peterborough. No wrong. People getting better. People using less drugs. They're staying alive for longer.
And they might not see what they're doing because it is friggin' hard to help people in these positions. Government funding, the way that it is set up, it goes directly to fund ideology. So if you have a
So this is another statement about ideologies. BC police chiefs convinced other. Wait, let me see. So the BC chiefs have talked about decriminalization of simple possession of hard drugs. Medical experts. These are all people that they're not supposed to have. They're supposed to be independent or non-partisan. There's people from across the political spectrum that support safer supply based on evidence. There's studies, there's pilot programs. Other countries have been doing these programs. People on the street, they know what they're talking about. But if you go off opinion pieces, you're not going to get an accurate picture. So I reject that the idea that this isn't a evidence-based program. We know that, like, some of these programs have been cut prematurely because of misinformation.
Government in place, a liberal NDP government that has a certain ideology, safe supply. They fund that. Because that.
So there's an ideology against safe supply. So like that argument doesn't even make any sense. We know safer supply. It's not called safe supply. It's called safer supply, and I think the name got changed recently.
That's what they want. That's their agenda. That's their intention. Ideology shapes policy. Follow the money. It comes back to what is the end goal of the government in charge. And, people say safe supply is saving lives. It makes no sense.
But these are experts, people with experience in the medical field, saying that safe supply saves lives. They're not random people.
Like, nothing about it makes any sense. Why?
Why? Because they're not tainted with fentanyl.
Why would you give somebody the thing that is killing them and destroying their life for it to be then resold on the street because it is not strong enough to meet the need of the addiction? It makes...
Okay, so there's a argument about that. Let's see. Okay, no. No, I want. So there's an argument about diverted supply. So diverted supply, some of it might not even be from as a result of safer supply. There's 4 million prescription opioids. There's an article in CBC of opioids disappearing, and there's no idea where they went. There's no robbery, break-in, etc. Losses from Canadian pharmacies appear to be on the rise. There's more pharmacies as well, so there's more opportunities. And large losses are more frequent. So these are not from safe supply. Safer supply. The safer supply is prescribed. And then let's see. Those people reforming the vision for healthcare providers. Safer supply diversion. There's a lack of programs. So some of the diversion is based on compassionate grounds. So there is diversion. They're all client agreements. As well. So it says, what is diversion? An individual redirects prescribed drugs to another party. So in the news section, why redefine and reframe diversion, current medical and criminal legal framing of diversion perpetuates stigmatizing and patronizing views of people who use drugs. And then this article says that these views are harmful, inadequate, and inaccurate, and ultimately rooted in anti-drug, anti-inferior, prohibitive principles. And they make it more difficult for clinicians to see the many reasons for safer supply participants may redirect prescribed medications to other people. Did I highlight? Oh. So some of the reasons why they might be redirected are those strict control or those prohibition access to safer regulated drugs, those racism, classism, colonialism, criminalization, sexism, ableism, classism, and transphobia, which perpetuate the inequitable conditions. Those neoliberalism and austerity, budget cuts. These are budget cuts over the last 30 years. They have been liberal, conservative governments. Let's see. So, is there anything about confusion? But, and another article says diversion reflects unmet individual and community needs, including access barriers to safer supply programs, lack of preferred medications being available or covered by drug benefit programs through safer supply programs, poverty and enactment of harm reduction, mutual aid strategies for friends and loved ones. And there's no link between prescribed hypomorphine and drug-related overdose deaths from the British Columbia coroner. And people using less safer supply, they're using less illegal drugs or less tainted drugs anyways. So, um, and then if someone does use safer supply, it's not tainted. So people are less likely to die as a result of that. So the evidence doesn't support that claim.
No sense. Do you need intervention and opioid agonist therapy to withdraw from drugs and medically supervised intervention to withdraw? Yes.
Yes, there does need to be medical interventions to withdraw. I agree. If someone wants to withdraw, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. But giving somebody with substance abuse disorder a pack of pills.
But this is not an isolated thing. Those wraparound services with a lot of the safer supply programs. They're not just giving people pills. They're offering counseling and other health services. Those financial aid, community. it's not just the pills. And a lot of people are getting off the drugs, which is your stated goal.
That even a person who just got surgery doesn't need to take home unsupervised is radical nonsense. And it's so...
Well, a lot of the sites you have to bring, the consumption sites, you have to bring you the drugs to the site. So there's two things that are being discussed: safe consumption sites and safer supply. So I'll make that distinction. But they're all tests. Like it's not like they don't. There's no monitoring whatsoever.
Not compassionate. Why am I telling you all of this? People need to understand how projects are funded, and this determines funding. Ideology.
Again, with the ideology rant. This is evidence-based policy. And if we want to go on ideology, we could talk about all the transphobia. But that's for a different video.
Matters so much. So if you believe in keeping people where they're at and not treatment and recovery as your primary priority, the funding reflects that. So now you have funding that does not reflect treatment and recovery, and you have chaos across this country.
Yeah, and as I pointed out in British Columbia, the drug crisis was happening well before safer consumption or safer supply and other drug programs that the Liberals, the Parliament of Canada, have agreed to. So this isn't a new crisis.
And people's empathy is gone. Why is it gone? Because they can't.
Because of misinformation shared by politicians.
Walk their kids to school because their businesses can no longer operate because people won't come downtown. When you hurt other people, their compassion for you goes down. And actually,
well, again, there's a lot of misinformation about people that use drugs, people that people that are unhoused.
Actually, what you're doing is creating a less compassionate society by not helping people.
And not supplying safer supply does not help people. Safer supply does help people.
You have to recognize the damaging ideology that is happening in this country. And you know what I actually think? I think people have gotten so, blocked that they have to be right, that they can't listen.
I agree.
They can't listen to, what's the common denominator here? Do we not both want people to get better? Because if you don't want people to get better, I don't want to be your friend.
What's this section all about? That's not helpful for anyone.
It's not humanity. If you're okay with people sitting slumped over like this on a corner, I don't want to be on that side. I don't. But if you're comfortable with it and those are the people you want to be with, then that's what you have. You have this divide. But if you and I, when I say you through the camera, people who are like safe supply advocates, if you and I can agree that we need treatment and recovery and we can find a common denominator where we actually start to put bricks and mortar in the ground.
Again, there was approved treatment in Peterborough.
And we have facilities, beautiful healing facilities in this country, then let's do that. But don't go around and say, you're the bad guy because you're anti-safe supply. You're the bad guy because you...
Well, this is a tactic that conservatives often use. What's it called? Gaslighting, or there's a term for
it. You won't keep people where that you're the bad guy because you think it's bad for people to use drugs open in parks and hospitals. No. Every single person is
I think it's a straw man argument that she's using.
Capable of amazing things, but some people need more help than other people. And it is our job in positions of leadership to find the resources to help these people. So shame on the Liberal NDP government for not funding.
Well, I would disagree with this comment about shame.
Funding projects that make people get better. Shame on the Liberal NDP government for funding projects that keep people where they're at, which is palliative care, which is hospice. That is the plan by the Liberal NDP government, and it is sick. I care more about this than I care about anything else because I believe it sets the tone for every single thing.
Well, if this is the case, then that's not good. I don't believe that you've done the research on safer supply.
We have in our community. You want businesses to thrive, you want community to thrive, you want kids to be healthy and not afraid to go outside. This is where it all starts. Treatment and recovery. Conservatives will bring it home.
Yeah.
Everyone, Michelle Frere here, member of Parliament for Peterborough.
Bringing it home. That's a troubling comment as well. Yeah. So that was not really. Yikes. We watched that video. Before I go, I looked at what the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. I know Michelle Farley is a federal politician, but the federal and provincial government both have a role to play in this. It says municipalities are the front line of addressing the toxic drug crisis, but can't solve it alone. 60% of people who died from the opioid toxicity were employed. But we should care about people that are not employed too. It's almost 50% of people who died from opioid-related toxicity have not been diagnosed with opioid use disorder in the previous 5 years. So they're not all dying from. So they're not like. What's the word? I don't know where I was going with that. The programs that the AMO support are reduced homes associated with problematic substance use. And then did I highlight? And then they're saying that it's a complex problem. It requires multifaceted solution, and they're saying homelessness, poverty, and increased cost of living, mental illness, criminal justice, and intergenerational trauma carried by indigenous communities or root causes, uh, all intertwined with the root causes. So you do have to look at our criminal justice system. They're saying that decriminalization um, um, the wait lists are too long for medically supervised withdrawal. Management remains unavailable for too many. So this is a point that I would agree that we need more beds. But safer supply will keep people alive until there is a bed available. Oh, and it sounded like there was a support for involuntary treatment. There's a bulletin that says that voluntary treatment outperforms involuntary treatment. Did I highlight anything else? Okay, I did highlight more stuff. Harm reduction includes programs and practices that aim to reduce the negative health, social, and economic consequences without necessarily reducing drug use. So it sounds like safer supply is something that AMO would support. Given the toxicity of the drug supply in Ontario, harm reduction can keep people safe until they are ready to access treatment or another path. And then they say supervised consumption sites are an important component of Ontario's harm reduction approach. Oh, here's what I was looking for. Okay. A study of supervised consumption sites in Toronto found a citywide reduction in overdose mortality rate of 42% after the implementation of supervised consumption sites. In addition, neighborhoods containing or near these sites have the greatest reduction in overdose death rates. And these sites should support current drug use patterns. Nearly half the deaths involved in inhalation between 2018 and 2021. Inhalation is not covered in supervised consumption sites. They should be approved and funded based on demonstrated local need and community engagement. Safer supply programs are having a positive impacts on both individuals and communities. This is from the Association of Municipalities of Ontario. Municipalities, politicians, and at the municipal level, all independent. There's no political parties in Ontario. Yeah, so that was the video. The information that I had up. There was a lot more to discuss about a lot of the lies that conservatives are making about the drug policies, or the misinformation, stigmatization about drugs. So this is really like the tip of the iceberg. Um, yeah, and if you like this, I might make more of these videos. Um, thank you for watching. Oh.